channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I secured a full tuition scholarship to law school.
What?
Yeah. Yes. I know it's really rare. It's a blessing, so I would love to share my story and give any tips and tricks that I can to help you guys along your journey. Whether you're thinking about law school, you know you want to go to law school, or you're in the middle of applying to law school, whatever your story or situation is, hopefully this can help. So let's get right into it. First off, I want to give all glory and honor to God, because without him, none of this would have been happening. So tip number one, figure out how long of a break, if any, that you want to take between undergrad and law school. Normally, I know a lot of people transition right into it. As soon as they graduate in April, May, they go right into law school that August. For me, that was not the case. And I think deciding that I wanted to take a small break really did help me and prepare me to be just more intricate in my steps and understanding what it is I was really trying to accomplish with applying to law school. So for me, I graduated in April of 2022 from Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers, FAMU. That April, I started studying for the LSAT, I want to say in June. And I studied all the way until October because I took my LSAT that November. Deciding how long of a break you want to take is essential to building up your timeline. Because when it comes to applying to law school, you have to take the LSAT, you have to write a personal statement, you have to get letters of recommendations, you have to build your resume. There's so many things that you have to do. And if you do not understand the time structure that you're under, you're not going to be able to honor certain deadlines and just keep a certain pace pushing. And that's very imperative in this process. It also helps keep you accountable, because if you're saying, hey, I want to apply by this date, I want to take the LSAT in November, making sure that you're keeping up with your studying schedule, that you're getting certain things done, such like your personal statement, getting letter of recommendations out the way, it's going to help a lot with your accountability and checking off where you are in the process and seeing if you need to push back or if you're right on track. I also feel like when you are structuring your timeline, you have to keep in mind that this is law school that you're applying to. So unlike college, where the SAT could have mattered depending on what school you were applying to, in law school, numbers matter.
Good job, Larry. Numbers.
Luckily, when I graduated from FAMU, I graduated with a 3.75 GPA.
Bomber clap.
So my number in that area was high. So if you're like me, where you had a high GPA, you had more leeway of, okay, I don't have to aim super high for an LSAT score, and it'll still be compatible with my GPA depending on your school of choice. Remember, numbers matter, and slow and steady wins the race. So you do not want to rush yourself, because it'll be a shame to rush yourself. You don't get the results that you want and you have to start all back over. So the goal of figuring out whether or not you want to take a break and structuring your timeline is so that hopefully it could be a one and done process. That is the goal. Tip number two, understanding how you want to study for the LSAT is super vital. You don't want to go into this winging it. You don't want to go into this blindsided. You want to be as structured as possible, because the LSAT is going to take you on a roller coaster. There's going to be days where you feel like, what am I doing?
The fuck is that? Shit! I'm dying!
Personally, I would recommend at least 3 months of study time for the LSAT. I say 3 to 6 months is a good goal. Go into it knowing your goal score. And let me just say this. Make sure that your goal score is realistic. Make sure it's realistic and it's something attainable. Not saying you can't shoot for the moon and land on the stars, when it comes to picking your LSAT score, but be realistic. What I did to pick a realistic LSAT score, there's a site called Law School Transparency. This website was my best friend. There's so many important numbers that you are going to find on this website, and based off of that is when I started to pick my LSAT score, and I based that off of their median. What was the 50% LSAT score that a lot of these students got. And which brings me to my next point. You want to make a list of schools. For me, I think I did 10 schools. You want to make a list of at least 5 to 10 schools. You can please feel free to do more. And within this list, make sure that you have schools on there that are above your goal score, that you feel like will be a high reach school. Make sure that you have schools that are like a safe ground. It's on the lower end that you know for sure that you will get into. And something in the middle ground, some schools that it's pretty fair. It's like a 50-50 shot. So make sure when you're making your list, you're creating your list, you have schools that are on the high end, the middle end, and the low end. Based off of that, I chose to have a goal score of 160. If you can score a 160, you're in the top 30%. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but quote me on that. I do not recommend using one thing throughout your entire process of studying. I would recommend at least having 2 sources that you are using. I used Testmasters, but when it came to enrolling in the Testmasters course, the only reason that I was able to enroll in that is because I was sponsored to do so. The Testmaster course, I can't remember the exact amount, but I know it was just under $2,000. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I was not in the position to spend $2,000 on a course that I was not even sure would work. I only had to pay about $200 to $300. The course was about a month and a half, and you had an instructor, and FAMU partnered with FSU, so I was in a class with FSU students and FAMU students, and we went through the test. Now for me, Testmasters was okay. It did help me a lot with just understanding the basics, understanding what this test is really asking and looking for. However, I will say there are a lot of things that the instructor showed me that I did not continue to use when it came down to test day. Was it worth the $2,000 that it initially cost? I don't think so. For me paying the $200 to $300 that I did pay, it was worth it. But $2,000, I don't recommend anybody paying for that unless you can afford to, if it's not a dent in your pocket. But I wouldn't pay $2,000 for any course. That's just me though. Second source that I used was the LSAT Trainer by Mike Kemp. It was a game changer for me. By the time I used the LSAT Trainer, I was already done with the Testmasters course. And so when it came to logic games, a lot of it was review, but he did have a lot of things that I implemented that helped my understanding peak even more. There were more tips and hacks that the LSAT Trainer had pertaining to logic games than my instructor provided for Testmasters, although both did help me understand logic games greatly. When it came to logical reasoning, I would say that the LSAT Trainer helped me understand logical reasoning more. I would also like to highlight that the LSAT Trainer is the reason why I had my breakthrough in reading comp. Reading comprehension was already my highest scoring section when I took my diagnostic, but it helped. I don't know what clicked in me. I don't know how he was explaining it, but something clicked where I was like, okay, and I was easily able to score like 20 points on reading comp, easy. Now, when it comes to building a studying schedule, when you are in the process of studying for the LSAT, do not be inconsistent with following the schedule. This will mess you up. When I was studying for the LSAT, I decided I was going to study 4 hours a day. That's Monday through Friday, every day for 4 hours. Sometimes I would do 2 hours in the morning time, 2 hours in the evening time. I would definitely take breaks in between. Don't just sit at your desk or wherever you study and knock out 4 hours straight. No. That's how you burn out.
Lord have mercy. Today drained me.
And then what I would do on the weekends is take a practice exam. This is something that I think a lot of people overlook. Do not take practice exams if you are not going to review them. What's the point? Review your practice exams. I set aside an entire day just for test review day. So I would take a practice exam that Saturday, review the entire test that Sunday. This way, you are seeing what questions you are getting right, you're seeing which questions you are getting wrong, you're getting a better understanding of, okay, where can I spend more of my time? Where can I take away time in the studying because I get this concept? make sure that you are reviewing your test. Also recommend using the Law Hub Plus subscription, which gives you years and years of different tests. I think dating back all the way to 1990 or so. Forgive me if some of my numbers are off, you guys. I took this last year, and once I was done, I was done. And then they give you recent tests too, up until, I want to say, like 2021, 2022. You want to make sure you're practicing recent exams, because this is most likely what your test is going to be structured like. I started studying in June, and I took the LSAT in November. Luckily, I was one and done, which brings me into my next tip. Make sure that you take time with your personal statement. Really quickly, personal statement, as you guys know, is simply about why you belong in law school. Not just why you belong, but what value will you add to the student body? What skills do you have? And try not to think so stereotypically. If you learned a lot, through an internship, impressive internship that was super impressive and super fancy, cool. But if you have a unique story, this is the time to let your creativity shine. Also a time to show how good of a writer you are. The more creative you can get, the more you can execute your idea and your theme, the better. The last tip I'm going to say about the personal statement, because I'm going to do another video dedicated to that topic alone, is how were you able to turn your trials and tribulations into triumph? Because law school is going to be a hard time. So how can you ensure the admissions committee that you are someone who is built for challenges and doesn't run away from them, but leans into them and allows them to mold you into something greater? Fourth tip, make sure that you apply early.
Waiting on you at the door.
For me, because I had a timeline, even though I did not apply by my goal, which was by Christmas, I still was able to apply earlier within the cycle. Still wasn't last minute. My goal was to apply by Christmas. However, I was having some issues with the person who was reviewing my personal statement. So it was kind of an issue with their schedule and my schedule. So I did not apply until February. I didn't feel like that was too late. I was hearing back from my first school by the next month in March, and I heard back from all of my school by the end of April, early mid-May. You also want to make sure you apply by a good time. Each school is going to get back to you at different time periods. So you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time to compare and contrast the scholarships. Make sure that you apply to all of your schools around the same time. I applied to all my schools at the same time. Also, another tip when it comes to applying, start the actual application earlier. Do not wait until you're ready to apply to start the application, because a lot of these applications for law schools are very long. They all are asking pretty much the same questions, but it's a very long process. So if you wait until you're actually ready to hit send, you're gonna push yourself back, because the application process is long. They're asking about personal history, educational history, just a whole bunch of stuff. So make sure that you start the actual application process and you complete that before your personal statement and resume and letter of recommendations are all completed. Also, when it comes to letter of recommendations, make sure that you ask whoever that you're asking at least 2 months in advance, bringing you back to tip number 1 of structuring your timeline. As soon as I had, when I had in mind of when I wanted to apply to law school, I went ahead and also asked for those letter of recommendations just to get it out the way. Because life happens. You don't want to inconvenience anyone. You don't want to rush anyone either. You want to make sure that they're taking their time. And I think too, when you approach someone in a reasonable time manner, even if you give them extra time, it's a good sign. You know what I'm saying? They want to get it done for you. Final tip, I don't know about you watching right now, but I am a believer of Christ. Keep God first, believe in God, and understand that law school is a big step. It's a big step, and you have to do the work. You have to be disciplined. You got to keep your head down and just keep pushing, because one day you're going to look up and you're sending in your applications, and you're going to look up and you're receiving congratulations, you've been admitted, and you're going to look up and you're on campus, So stay positive and understand this is not about competing. It is about competing against your peers, but it's about understanding your story, understanding your purpose, and walking in steps and following the steps that God has ordered for you. God has just blessed me. Full tuition scholarship.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All I have to pay for is my books now. That's a blessing, you know? So when you take your time and you are focused about living the life that God has created you to live, it'll all come to you in due time when it's supposed to. So trust God, stay positive, stay disciplined, stay motivated, understand your why, and you'll get there. So even if you have to take the LSAT more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, stay positive and keep God first. You know, once I applied for school, I got a job at a law firm, and I was working as a legal assistant / receptionist, just getting some experience. I didn't take any 1L or pre-1L courses. I had fun. So I made sure that after the LSAT and after I was applying, I had fun and I worked. I did not stress myself about trying to prepare for law school. Life is preparing me. I did a lot of reading, but it was books that I personally wanted to read. Remember, don't worry about what's traditional when God has written your story to be original. I'm gonna leave that with you guys, and thank you for watching, and I hope it was very helpful. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and see you guys later.